guys, Rebeka Alvie here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to talk about line editing. So you finished your first draft. Congrats. Now it's time for a part where you magically line edit it. It's not that magical. In today's video, I'll show you how to sharpen your sentences, tighten your prose, and make your story shine. Also, just a note, this isn't usually done right after the first draft. Depending on how clean your draft is, I guess. I usually do it after the third or fourth draft, but some people want to do it immediately. So really, it's your choice on when you line edit. Just know if you line edit after your first draft, and then you make sweeping edits in your second draft, all that pretty line editing has kind of gone away. And you'll have to do it again, which is less fun when you have to line edit the same sentences over and over and over because you messed them up when you did a later draft. So, I'll walk you through my personal process and share tips to avoid common pitfalls, and maybe even include a few practical examples. Which of course means we'll get to the computer at some point today, but not yet. First, let's talk about what is line editing. So line editing focuses on language, flow, and clarity of your writing. It's about making sure every sentence works and reads smoothly. Because sometimes the sentences are just filler, and you need to know how to make it work for the story or how to cut it out. Unfortunately, some sentences just don't belong. Excuse me. What is the difference between copy editing and line editing? Because a lot of people get these confused. But unlike line editing, copy editing focuses on typos, grammar issues, while line editing digs into word choice, rhythm, and readability. So when you're line editing, you're not necessarily going to be fixing misspelled words or adding in those pesky commas. You can if you want, but that's not really the purpose of this pass. I will admit I tend to be unable to not fix commas when I find them, because I'm like, I won't notice this later. I gotta do it now. So why is line editing an essential part of your writing process? Well, a good story can get clunky, can get lost in clunky sentences or overused words. You know those words. Just, that, there's probably more, but those are my ones that I use a lot. Line editing just helps you highlight your voice and keep your readers engaged and not bogged down on those words that you don't really need. Think of it like polishing a diamond. The structure's already there, you just need to bring it to light and make it sparkle. So let's look at this bit of the manuscript I'm working on, Shadow Tales. The first thing you gotta do is take a break. Distance is key, so put your manuscript aside for at least a week. Some people say a month, but I think that's a little too much. I will get bored in that month, and I will have moved on and started working on something else, and I'll be like, that project can just sit a minute. But fresh eyes will help you catch more. Just don't send those fresh eyes working on something else, because then they're gonna not want to go back. Always read your stuff aloud. Hearing the words out loud helps you spot awkward phrasing and or repetitive language. I use an app called Natural Reader to have the computer or my phone or whatever device I happen to be on to read it to me. Usually while I have a copy in hand, either digitally or I have my physical book. I would show it to you, but it's over there on the other side of the room, and I'm not gonna go grab it yet. The next tip I have for you is that only focus on one thing at a time. So you're going to be doing multiple passes of line editing, which can sometimes seem like a lot, but it's worth it. The first pass, you want to work on sentence clarity. Make sure the sentences are easy to follow. Are there sentences that you can combine to make more sense, or are there sentences that can be shortened? The second pass, you're looking at specific word choice. Avoid cliches and find stronger verbs. And this is kind of the place where you're gonna work on getting rid of those adjectives, adverbs, the LYs. Get rid of those. Too many slows down your pace while you're reading. And then the third pass, hopefully the final pass, is rhythm. For rhythm, does your writing flow naturally or is it choppy? Then you're gonna focus on cutting the filler words. Oh, here's a list. Just, very, really, or that. They often weigh sentences down. Be ruthless in cutting them. If they do not need to be there for the sentence to be understood, they're gone. Especially in instances where you double them. For instance, that, which comes up way more often than you think, but people's brains can understand with just one that. They don't need it fed to them, even though technically both that's fully explain the sentence. Don't put two. People are gonna just think it's a typo. And use tools wisely. You can use programs like ProWritingAid or Grammarly, but don't rely on them completely. Trust their instincts because trust me, they can suggest incorrect things. And they do, more often than you think. Next is some common mistakes that you can avoid. First, don't overedit. Your voice matters. You want to keep your meaning, your intention, and just how you stand. Just how you sound. You don't want it to sound like anybody could have written it. Make sure it sounds like you wrote it still. Don't edit as much as you... Don't edit as you write your first draft. Focus on storytelling first. And this is a big one. It is so easy when you're like... What I do every day is I go back and read like the last few paragraphs of what I wrote, or the last chapter if it's a short chapter, so I can figure out where I'm going in what I'm working on today. And sometimes I'll see like, oh, that line sounds bad, I want to fix it. If I fix it then, it pulls me out of forward motion in my story, and I need to focus on just getting the story out. Always get the story out before you pretty it up. Technically, this includes fixing commas, but again, I can't help that. And don't ignore rhythm. Reading aloud helps. I know it sounds weird talking about rhythm when you're talking about the written word, but there are just sentences, the way you read sentences, where it just feels unnatural if the rhythm's not right. Excuse me. Some resources that you can use to learn a little bit about line editing. There's Self-Editing for Fiction Writers by Renni, Browne, and Dave King. It's packed with practical tips and examples for editing your own work, and this is line editing and copy editing. Most books are, but they help. The Elements of Style by William Strunk Jr. and E.B. White. And it's a really quick read, but it's got a lot of great information about tightening your prose and refining your style. And your style is what you're working to keep really powerfully with line editing. Sorry, I'm getting stuffed up. So I'm trying not to sneeze, and I'm trying not to like make sniffy noises, but sorry. And then the last book I have on here is on writing. It's not by Stephen King. I'm sure everybody's heard of this. It's not strictly about editing, but it's a masterclass on writing and revising, and line editing is a part of revising. Now there's some online tools and software that can help you, and again, use these with a little bit of caution. Like, trust your gut when they make suggestions, because these are all tools that use AI. And while, as you know, I'm a big believer that AI is a tool that can help you improve your writing, you don't always trust it blindly, because sometimes the human does know better. So, ProWritingAid, it is great for catching repetitive phrases and improving your readability. It's really great for catching those repetitive phrases. I cannot tell you how many I have cut out because of ProWritingAid. Grammarly, I don't personally use this anymore. I did when it was newer, before ProWritingAid and AutoCrit came out. I'm not talking about AutoCrit today, but it's about on ProWritingAid level. It just depends on how you like your tools. But Grammarly is a really good place to start with basic grammar and clarity issues. It doesn't go quite as in depth as ProWritingAid. And one that I have never used, but I've been recommended, and I really need to test it out at some point, is Hemingway Editor. It helps simplify complex sentences and assess readability. Some YouTube channels that offer some good advice on editing, some online editing in particular, is Ellen Brock's Writing Tips. She offers fantastic advice on editing and story developing. And Shaylin Writes. She really helps hone your craft and has a lot of practical editing advice, and I believe she has a couple of line editing specific videos. And I'm sure there are more. These are just the ones that came to mind first. Editing communities. You can find a lot of editing communities on Facebook, and they will offer, some of them will offer critique exchanges with other writers, and just getting feedback from others is really helpful. I also recommend Critique Circle. They work on a tit-for-tat system, so somebody edits your work, you're expected to edit something of theirs, or not edit really, but read and comment on. You can offer edits, or you can just basically beta read it. It's usually by chapter, or it's for short stories. But I have used them in the past, and they are great. They offer it really depends on who decides to read your work, but the ones I've gotten, they have offered such great suggestions, and actually really helped with the opening of Cold Wings. So, really great source there. And then practice resources. If you check out Reedsy's blog, there is a ton of free exercises, really helpful content for just figuring out where you are with your editing. So, I will try to remember, and if I don't, poking in the comments, I'll try to remember to link all these resources in the description, so you can check them out. And if you have a favorite editing resource that I didn't mention, share it in the comments. Or if you have some advice about line editing in general, also share that in the comments. Let's help each other become better editors. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to see more from me. I post new videos every other Friday with a live stream on the Fridays in between, and I'll see you all soon with a new one. Keep writing. Bye!